What are we doing today? What's today's project?
Today, we're swapping a built 22R with side draft carbs into this all-stock 81 Toyota pickup from California. Smog everything.
Some outdated crap on here, a little bit of complications that we don't really want to get involved in. So it's all going to get pulled out in the effort of dual side draft carburation. I picked this up from the west side. Really hope it works. So we'll see what we can do. We've got some parts to try to make this situation work. Holley red fuel pump. Holley, I think 7 PSI. Pressure regulator. Fluid filled pressure valves. Fuel lines and all the fittings from Home Depot. LCE headers. This is stock. The fuel cable goes to here, pulls this mystery thing, flicks this mystery thing. How's that wire tied to fucking coupling? Weird shit. This whole thing rotates. Wow. Some springs in there. Yes. Hopefully get rid of all that crap. But she's pissing. Ooh. Pretty much to that point. All the bolts are off there. We got the bolts on top of the tranny out. Auntie Nadine. Congrats, Auntie. That top bolt was nice to reach. Failed test this part, but a couple extensions and she was easy. Thanks to the Milwaukee. Starter bolts. And we will have a flying Toyota. Oh, that. Now we have a pile of metal that doesn't run anymore, but we do have a flying Toyota also. UFO. What the fuck? The issue is I only have one fucking spare tire, which is holding this thing up. So I don't have anywhere to put that thing for now. Maybe I'll put it in this bucket of rags. Think that'll hold it up?
It'll crush it.
Okay, we'll try. Before my friend decided to go to the beach. It's a beautiful day. Any normal person would do that, but we'll just keep going here. Fought to get the exhaust system off. Got the alternator moved over to the new block. Removed all of the fuel hard lines. Got some toys. Hopefully this stuff will all hold and not leak too much. Give it a go, and then maybe if we're lucky with that, we can do some mounting brackets, fit it somewhere in the engine bay. So the plumbing on this, plumbing I mean literally brass fittings and Teflon. Inshallah, should work. This is the input here, and there's 2 outputs. I really only need 1 output. I'm not running a return on this carbureted system, so the other output I'm running to this pressure gauge. I don't know if this is the best spot to run it. It might be better to run closer to here to read a more accurate drop during throttle, but I'll start with it here. Down the line, if I have issues, I can just move it closer. Unfortunately, on my island, there are nowhere that sells these fittings, and I got to get this done in the next couple of days. So maybe down the line, I'll be able to add that in somewhere, but for now, a $6 Napa fuel filter. This will work under the truck somewhere after the fuel pump. Little wiring here, pretty much the simplest wiring you can possibly do. Just a relay to the same screw, and we have a circuit and a circuit breaker. And hot goes to that, yellow goes to switch, which I'm gonna steal from that because I already have a switch hanging from there. And then purple is gonna go to positive of the pump, and the ground of the pump I'm just gonna ground it back to the bracket. So under here, I'm trying to keep it simple, but we got the quarter coming from the fuel going into here. Tighten that bugger up. Got the Holley bracket. We're going to use this one. I tapped another bolt in here. That should hold. Rubber there, rubber here for the vibrations. Still got to tighten that thing up, but can't fit a socket because that's in the way, so just getting quarter turn at a time. Nice to have something shiny under here. This is going to the switch power on the relay. Wiring all squared away, hopefully. Ran this fuel line up through there. Alrighty, so we ran this inline fuel filter coming from here. I'll put that bugger on there real quick. So where we left off yesterday is that we got this fuel pressure regulator mounted up with this bracket pressure gauge. And just this morning I went and got a bunch of parts, one of those being the new clutch slave, because the old clutch slave was toasted. Wrestled a tire off of a spare rim to house that thing for a while, but this thing should be ready to go. We have the clutch throwout bearing installed, new slave. Let's see if we can't fly that shiny piece. So she's sitting in there on the engine mounts, but there's this little weird gap between the trans, but it seats fine on the bottom. We got my other friend helping me out today. I don't know if it's the studs not aligned. I mean, a weird little gap. We'll just have to keep fucking with it, I guess. So we got some tranny bolts dialed in. Now we're just gonna try to fit the starter down there, but before we get lost in there, I need to figure out the wiring. There's a switch for that. And then there's a sensor there and a sensor there. And this looks like a temp. So we're gonna steal that from here. One of these harnesses is gonna have it. Spark, this is that side sensor. There's these two plugs on top, and I'm not sure which one is the right one. One of them was broken, so we'll do some research on that. And this little wire goes to another fucking thing over there. So I don't know where I left off last, but we got all the wiring sorted away for the existing accessories, and then we are running the stock fuel cable. We're just adapting it here a little bit, and then it's running straight down to the lever. And somehow I kind of got lucky with that being the right length. That's fully extended, and at full compression of the pedal, it stops at full. So perfect there. Feels good in the foot. Just gotta connect the fuel lines. Of course, put at least the header on before I want to start it. Run some clutch fluid. Try that out. Put the fan on, radiator, battery. All right. So the headers are mounted. Pretty simple thing here. Mounted a new one of these, some new wires. A little unforeseen circumstance. This plug is, of course, not the same as the plug that I have. So I gotta go dig through my box, see if I have something that'll work for swapping one of those two over. I just bled the clutch and feels perfect. So hopefully it'll engage at some point. Fuel lines all dialed away. I don't want to forget anything, but I feel like we're getting close. So I made the mistake of assuming anything could be done the easy way. There's two returning lines and one fuel line to the engine, because it's an EGR truck. I assumed there'd only be two, and I assumed wrong. There was a hidden hard line, and that was the actual in. So took the bed off, and I'm tapping into that with this. This is a 3/8 line on a 1/4 inch pipe. I'm gonna get a new line tomorrow. I'm just seeing if it'll pull from here, so I know if it'll start, but we'll see if it builds pressure. So building pressure, I'm just gonna see if she'll turn over. I don't have an exhaust on it. I don't have cooling anything. I'm just gonna see if she turns over. Well, that thing sounds like a fucking Harley. But she runs. What's Kama gotta say?
You actually did it.
It
runs. After.
It was easy and hard. But glad she turned over.
Boys are back in town. We are pretty close to dialed. New hoses. Got that thing bubbling out. Vacuum line lined up. Fan shroud, radiator, everything hooked up. We'll go start this thing again.
Big 2 Toyota.
2R. I'll be honest, I've never done an exhaust system before. I'm gonna give it a go. I picked up some pipe from Napa and got this little flange. Just gonna clamp the shit out of it. I have a Flowmaster and I'm gonna run it from the headers along here. Flowmaster right about here. I'm gonna hang it before and then once in the middle, and then I'm gonna try to do a little dump behind this tire right here. I don't have a pipe bender, so what I've been doing is I've been chopping these angles, marking them the angle I want, chopping it, tacking it, and that seems to be working. We'll finish weld this up. Never call myself a welder, but I do believe it should hold. This thicker stuff is a lot easier to weld. Just trying to get good penetration here, and it just kept melting through. Plumb through to the exhaust. Just have the Flowmaster tacked right there. I'll run it all around in a moment. And then I'm just trying to shoot this gap, clear some, so I still have plenty of travel for my axle. And then I'm just dumping it out right here. Still getting these angles by just chopping. And I'll be welding all that and welding that in place, and then I have to throw a hanger right here. Guess we'll fire it up and see what she sounds like for real. First start with the exhaust on there. Taking it for a little test drive in the mountain. Inspections. The shakedown run, I went about 80 miles to the west side and back, and some funny things happened. This bolt backed out, so I gotta put a nylon nut on there or something to hold it in place. And then my clutch master started leaking on my foot in the cab, but it still has fluid, just leaking. Also, when it's running, there's a little tick in the valves. I think that it's a tight valve. We're gonna do the clutch and then latch that today. leaking from that side. I just encountered a super unique and ridiculous problem. So trying to thread this thing on, you know, these are notorious for being difficult, but this was absurd. I was fighting it for like half of an hour, just trying to make sure that that would fit into here. You know, I have this bolt, there's the other one's the same size thread. I knew the thread was right, I knew everything was right. And then eventually I found a nut that was the same size as that bolt. And I went to thread it on here, and because whoever had done this before had jammed it so hard that it flanged just the littlest too much over there, I couldn't get the bolt over that flange. So I filed it down like 1,000th, and now it's thread. So if you ever have that problem, see if that's the solution. I've never encountered that before, but we'll see if it works now. That was the issue. Filed it down a few more times and she threaded right in. I hope nobody ever has to encounter that again. That made me feel crazy. You never realize how bad a clutch is until you put a new one in. But this thing is so nice to drive now. Took her for a joyride to heat her up. We're gonna do the valves. Top dead center on this thing. I don't know why my timing thing doesn't have any markers, but I'm assuming it's the furthest one over. Should be right there. Adds up because that is vertical. And we'll figure out which ones we need to do first. All right, I'm no expert, but that is a fuck ton of play.
So, we gotta figure that out for sure. I'm actually kind of terrified of
I'm so po, I'm so throw. She on go, I spend dough. Won't hold a dough. For no hoe, I ain't polite. Pollute the Sprite. I do it twice, I pull 2 foes in one night. I do it right, it's do or die. Do you wanna ride? My door suicide, won't never switch sides. I don't fold no Ricos, that's how many miss die. I'm getting this cake. I don't fold no fake. I don't fold the Jakes, I thank the Lord. Every day I wait, I give, I take, eat off your plate. You eat all mine, my nigga is fine, got a love for the line. We one of a kind, ain't hard to find, baby, what's your sign? Bitch, I'm a sag, eat views, sad, count money bags. Wait, soldier rags, RP, so just land where I'm riding the beat. I'm going right in, RP to the pen, I'm a real ass nigga. I'm playing the pen, I don't think I can sit where I'm riding the beat. I'm going right in, RP to the pen, I'm a real ass nigga. I'm playing the pen, I don't think I can sit. I'm so po, I'm so throw. She on go, I spend dough, won't hold a dough. For no hoe, I ain't polite. Pollute the Sprite. I do it twice, I pull 2 foes in one night. I do it right, I'm so po. I'm so throw. She on go, I spend dough. Won't hold a dough. For no hoe, I ain't polite. Pollute the Sprite.